everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So in this video I'm going to be talking about some top tips I've got for going and racing at Frosty Models. Frosty Models is based in Skegness in Lincolnshire. I'm from the Lincolnshire area in the UK here. We're not blessed with loads of permanent indoor tracks, but this one's been open about a year or so, and hopefully you've seen my short video where I took a plunge and went down to the club. Right, so on to the tips now. So obviously before going to a new track or a new location, you normally want to check out on Facebook a few details about the carpet, what sort of tyres people are in there. So because I know the carpet was bought from the Life Club, which I'm part of, I sort of knew the tyres to go for. First thing you've got to note is that every club has their own set of rules for tyres and additive. Frosty Models have decided not to use additive in any form, so it's a little bit of a challenge to get a car to go as well. So what I did do is I decided to go for the softest tyre I have, which is currently the Rush 28s, which are on the, I'm not sure if you can see it, on the spoke rims. These worked really well at the Life Club. They work well on ETS, but obviously being soft compound, they overheat and traction roll very easily. So because we're not allowed to use additive, but you are allowed to pre-treat at home, I've got a couple of sets of these. So what I've done is pre-treat them with Spider Blue, which is a well-known additive. I've used it multiple times, multiple locations, and it always seems to work for me. So I coated 2 sets of tyres, which are only the 2 sets of tyres that I used whilst I was there. The next thing that you want to choose is chassis and flex configuration. So previously on this type of carpet at Life, when we had it, we ran a carbon chassis. It just generated a bit more flex, which just made things faster, and it was just a lot better on low grip. But since then, obviously, I've moved on to racing on Lindau and ETS carpet. So the main thing to go for is an aluminium chassis, and in this case, I'm using X-Ray's 1.5mm chassis. Obviously, will be a bit thinner, it flexes a bit more and generates that grip, so it was a really good choice. And the next bit to come with flex, I decided to go for a start with the plastic GRP or fiberglass top decks, depending which car brand that you run. I personally felt that these made the car very forgiving, and when you've got a forgiving car and easy car to drive, you can drive it well. So next thing I looked at was the diff. So the diff, because it's a quite tight track and the grip isn't massively high, I stuck with what I class as my basic A5K diff with hoodie oil. For each run, I've got one of those electronic screwdrivers which you pop on the side of your car, and then it just spins your diff over. I do that for about between 30 to 40 seconds, and that way your diff gets warmed up, so when you hit the track, you're not losing time in the first few laps. So other things I did to do with the diff, and with the X-Ray at least, I run the +1 diff holders, or eccentrics if you don't mind calling them that. And for a start, I did them in the low position, which I really liked at Louth and clubs around the area. So essentially for me, these just gave me more drivability, just had a bit more traction, a bit more go out the corners. Again, the car's a little bit pushy, so after a run or two, I decided to go from the down position to the up position, and we're going to the up position. That meant the car was a little bit more lively, but excuse me, the car was a little bit more in the track though, so it was a little bit more edgy to drive, but it was faster and better to drive that way. Within a few runs, I decided to go from the plastic top decks onto the 1.6mm X-Ray top decks. It's still quite thin, but obviously being carbon, it just sharpened everything up for me a little bit. One of the big things I also haven't mentioned yet, but obviously I've spoken about tyres, but in this case, because you can't additive your tyres again after the run, excuse me, I decided to clean the tyres. So for this, I've still got a bottle of the Moody Falls scrubber, or you can get something from One Up Racing. I think it's from the Jacob Cruise range, which is the Dominator stuff to clean your tyres, or you could use brake cleaner. I prefer to use additive indoors at least when the traction's low, because that way the tyres will last a bit longer, you're not drying them out, and it won't wear. So that was one of the big things that I did. Also, with it being quite a narrow track, I decided to go for a little bit more steering. So to go for a bit more steering, I lowered the bump steer from the X-Ray Kit 2mm to a 1.5mm. Again, that just sharpened the front end up. And I'm quite a smooth driver myself, so I don't like the car to be massively edgy. But in this case, I decided to add a mill's worth of Ackerman, which again, just gave me that little bit more steering. Apart from that, like I said, it's a very different track, it's a very different location, it's a very different set of rules. But these are a few things that I did just to sharpen the car up, make the car better. If I went again, I would try more stuff. But obviously, these are what testing days are for. Anyway, hopefully, for anyone wanting to go down to Frosty Models at Skegness, please do. Hopefully you'll like this video, like, share, subscribe. Those words saying that for the first time. But anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for listening to me jabber on, and hopefully see you in the next video.